हाय टुडे इज़ आफ्टर मार्केट ऑन 16th जून और मैं ये वीडियो बना रहा हूँ कि FNO स्पेस में आज कौन सी स्टॉक्स ने इंटरेस्टिंग मूव दी मेरे हिसाब से. सो आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट द स्टॉक्स विच गेव इंटरेस्टिंग मूव after closing, or this is these stocks I'm going to keep in my tracker for 17th of June as well as for the next 2-3 days. So let's start. So obviously one of the companies I've talked about is Tata Power, and this you will also find I have discussed extensively in today's market watch at 2:30 when it was near about 125-ish. और अभी हम जो देख सकते हैं कि टाटा पावर generally takes a lot of time to do some very small moves. So for example ये 110 and this is 103, so you can see the amount of time it spent. But going forward, especially in this zone, you can see very big candles, as a result of which the volatility in Tata Power has increased a lot, and this is also supported by volume. So I think this shows that it's very important, and people have a lot of interest in Tata Power going forward. I have drawn some important lines. You can see if I connect to the 52-week high, which was made at 132 point something, and this is, you remember, we have been trading these levels and I have been tweeting about it, and then eventually it took a very good dip around about 117 this level. And I also made a video on Tata Power much earlier on 7th of June, I think, here when we were here. This is when I posted the video, and now I can see that Tata Power in today's session. So this is actually an hourly chart. So Tata Power has given a nice breakout, and this breakout is followed with interest in buying and in volume. So it and even with Nifty tanking, it was able to move forward. So matlab it didn't just sell off, didn't take it below 125. So no matter what, going forward, this would be definitely one of the stocks in my radar. I would be very much interested in this one, especially at 128 129 region, because I think 130 is a psychological level. So यहाँ पे वो 130 में correct हुआ था, and then this downfall came. Till then it was able to keep itself afloat towards 125-ish, लेकिन उसके बाद ये back, now it is trying to regain those levels. So who knows, maybe very soon we would be seeing new strength in Tata Power. I actually have a number for the target I'm seeing in the very short term to medium term, but I think I should keep it to myself. I don't want people to get trapped. So let this pattern develop. Let's go above 120 130 region, and then maybe I will post another video where I will explicitly talk about the target in the near future, maybe in a month or two. And also power sector is something which is in a lot of momentum right now. There's a lot of interest, and also there's a lot of interest in Tata companies. So I think this is one of a safe bet, and going forward I would be tracking this one. So Tata Power is the first stock I want to talk about. The next stock I want to talk about is Hindustan Petroleum. This is also what I mentioned today, that today there was a lot of momentum in oil related companies, OMCs, especially ONGC, which was my pick to buy first, and the second one was Hind Petro, and the third is IOC. So this is something, a very interesting pattern has happened, or rather is trying to replicate a previous pattern. So here you can see it made a new 52-week high, and then eventually a very good sell-off came over here. You can just a moment, I don't know what I have selected. Yeah, exactly. So here you can see it 52-week high, two red candles, and then shoot up. Here again new 52-week high, candles, nice consolidation, shoot out and breakout. Similarly here new 52 high, and now this has consolidated, and this is the reason why it's only today that I'm interested in Hind Petro. Going forward, I think 310 is a very interesting level, and if 310 gets broken or breached, I think it can move much further. So going from this perspective, again, as I said, there's a lot of interest in crude, and the future prospects of crude is around about $80 per barrel. Right now it's $73-74 per barrel, and we also have Fed meetings, so maybe that will also have an repercussion on crude. I am making this video just after market hours, so I will also need to check what's the outcome of the Fed. No matter what, tomorrow we are not going to take any position just after the market opens, but rather we are going to study it for the first 1 hour, say between 9 and 10, and then only I am going to comment on whether I'm going to take a position on Hind Petro. This is also true for companies like ONGC, Hind Petro, IOC, and all this. So BPCL, I don't trade BPCL, but these are all the stocks which should react in the same way. The third company is ONGC, and the reason for me to take a position, if you see from a daily, or rather if you look for an hourly one, so the interesting pattern which really motivated me was there was a gap up opening, and throughout the 8 and yesterday it made a 52-week high here, and you can see it gave a breakout over this 126 levels. Throughout the day, even with so it had a very narrow and tight consolidation between 127ish and 126ish. So it was a very narrow and small trade happened today. There's still a gap, even with weakness in Nifty. This gap didn't get filled. So I think going forward this would be one of the companies which would definitely be in my radar, and I expect it to be moving much north. But as I said, it's again dependent on what the outcome of the Fed comes in. And I think if I studied the United States crude oil inventories, and they are also less. So I am much more bullish on crude right now. The third company is Tata Consumer Products. This is also one of the companies I have discussed earlier, last week, maybe 2-3 days ago, and you will find it in one of the videos. So as we saw that this is in a very good channel today, it gave a very good move and made a new new all-time high, and then there was a small sell-off, but you can see we are already in this upper range, and it has already, this move was very good move, and we were able to capture some part of it, especially when this breakout of 680 690 region came, and from there in no time we reached this, and I think going forward, maybe even with Nifty being weak, it was able to retain. And the reason is, as I mentioned, right now I have shifted a little bit to FMCG given the sentiment of the market, but I think if one of the companies makes an all-time high and is able to retain it, so this would definitely be in my radar, given the fact that it closed at the very top. So it can very well be that there's a breakout and then it dips, but no matter what, I don't see levels of 700 getting broken easily. So I am going to put a I'm going to study how if 722 is broken, but no matter what, I think going forward, again, this is a Tata company, so the sentiments are really in good for this all the Tata companies. And actually over the weekend I made a video about how all the Tata companies are moving and how I create positions in Tata. So you can see Tata Motors, Tata Steel, Tata Consumer Products, Tata Power. So all of these Tata companies, they are making new 52-week high or all-time highs, and I think this is one of the companies I would be tracking. Of course, I expect it can very well be that it falls, and I would be tracking, say for example, this levels of 700 and 680 for a quick reversal, because there's a lot of interest right now, and theoretically it should get a support if it falls, if it dips. But you never know, these are all speculations, so please consult your financial advisor. The fourth company I want to talk about is Emphasis, and the advantage, the thing which I see is whenever it makes an all-time high, it goes for a very tight consolidation and then it corrects, but then it's able to move up. Similarly, it made an all-time high and then it corrects and then it moves up. So similarly, there is a very tight consolidation which is happening, and this is very similar to this particular consolidation. So no matter what, I would be it would because these are hourly charts, so maybe the dip itself comes around about in the midday, and then it's able to reverse from there. So I am going to have a look at 2060 to 2040 levels over here, and I'm going to see if it dips and takes, and if not, then I see it moving. If it starts moving over 2105, So I think that would be another interesting, because it doesn't matter, it also depends on the sentiment. And as I said, I always trade, and my trackers are always based on the sentiment of the market. So right now, if the market is weak, so there is a lot of traction on FMCG, on IT, and on pharma. So I already discussed about Torrent Pharma just half an hour ago, and I have uploaded a video. This looks a very good candidate where I can make some really good money, because it's sort of consolidating in the dip, and so maybe it will start moving also soon. The next company I want to talk about is Dabur. I have posted a video on Dabur on 15th. That's 2 days ago, and I was able to predict that how Dabur will behave in this region. So when we made the video, we were over here at 570, and then in 2 days it went for new all-time high at 580. And here again you can see that if you draw a channel like this, it's the channel is still a lot of far, and so maybe in the very short term it may not be within this expiry, but in 2-3 weeks I won't be surprised if this level of 684, I would if it moves above 584, I think level of 600 is definitely in the vicinity. Will it move in one go? It doesn't matter, because it may try to consolidate. But one of the things you have to understand is, if you draw the midline, and if you see that in the previous moves, a matter of 2-3 days, it comes and tries to validate the previous breakout level. So going forward, I can easily see it trying to consolidate in this region, and if it's able to hold this 580 levels, let me have a look, 575 and maybe 572 levels, then theoretically it should be going towards 600, and this might be a very safe trade, because Dabur is a very well managed company with good promoter and good management, and so definitely I would try to make some positions in Dabur. Today it was definitely in my radar, but even with a nifty weakness, Dabur didn't budge. So you can see this is on a 5-minute chart, so between 580 and 581. So I was expecting it to dip towards this 578 and 576, but unfortunately it didn't. So this actually showcases that there's a lot of interest in Dabur, and maybe going forward Dabur would be one of the companies where people will start parking their money. The next stock I want to talk about is Hindustan Unilever. This also gave a very strong move. Okay, so since October, November, it's in a channel, and the upper channel is over here, which is around about this region of 2560. And I also in a very short term, I would expect a similar move in Hindustan Unilever, because one of the things is, whenever it tries to cross this one, it faces the resistance, it dips, and then so this is the middle line which I normally draw in any of the range trades. So here you can see going 2201 and 2560. So this is a very good 300-400 point of a range you have, and I think going forward level of 2450 would be very much achievable, maybe in 1 or 2 sessions. And the reason for it, why it will become so interesting, is because this was where the previous resistance was, this one. So it came to this 2450, then it corrected and touched this, and then it again came to 2450, and then it touched this, and then it gave a false breakout, and this was again the all-time high, maybe, or 52-week high. Actually all-time high is 2600 levels, which was a freak move. But no matter what, you can see after the sell-off, a very nice channel was formed, and over a longer time frame you can see this stock has only one way, and the only way it moves is up. So no matter what, these are again very good companies. So maybe from here it will try to connect and try to take a support around about 2330 levels, and that would be a very interesting place for someone who is interested in Hindustan Unilever to take positions. But the way it has moved in the very past, so you can see over here there were so many red candles over here. there are so many red candles over here, but now it's again greens are coming. And the best thing which happens is, once a green comes in, these are very big moves which happen, and which there is also a lot of volume participation you can see over a period of time. So I think going forward there's a lot of interest, and maybe this 2450 levels will be a immediate hurdle for now. Right now it's at 2406 levels. Maybe tomorrow it will, if it doesn't gap up, this will be giving us some 50 points, which would correspond to near about 2% move, which is pretty good for a big nifty 50 company in a one day. So this is the next trade I have for you. So you see, Tata Consumer, the companies I discussed, Dabur, Hindustan Unilever, right? Even Britannia can be also taken. I have not made that as a tracker for now, but definitely Britannia is also one of the companies which showed a very good move today. The reason I don't trade much in Britannia is because I personally think Britannia is more of a investment stock for me. Even Hindustan Unilever is good too, but I have never traded in Britannia, and for me, I only buy Britannia. I have never sold any Britannia, so that's the only mental block I have. But definitely, you guys can study mental Britannia, and it's the same pattern which you see in Hindustan Unilever. The next company which I want to talk about is Infosys. Definitely, it made an all-time high. Now you can see that whenever it made a new all-time high, or at least over here in 2021 there was an immediate backup, and then it fell, and similarly over here it immediate fell. Similarly over here it opened with a gap up and it fell, but here it made a new all-time high. And so basically it would be very interesting to see if the levels of 1450 are held in the short term, and if 1450 is held, and given the sentiment of the market and the way IT in general is moving. We already discussed Emphasis, and then there is also some of the trades which I took in Naukri. So Naukri was one of the stocks I have discussed earlier, about the four mid-cap companies. LTTS gave a very good move from 2800 to 2900. Third company which I discussed over the weekend was LTI gave a very good move from 4000 to 4247 as of today. So basically 5% moves in a matter of 4 days in good sector and good companies is something which you should be having a target for. So I think Infosys, and you can see that whenever this makes an all-time high, then eventually it starts falling and tries to take support in the immediate support it has. Similarly, if it tries to correct, I would expect 1400 to be a very good level, but given the you also have to understand these are also very much sentiment driven. Given the current sentiment and the way this time it has taken a lot of time to consolidate between 1320 and 1400. So definitely 1400 is one of the places where it will definitely get a support. No matter what, definitely it would be interesting for me to see how it behaves over say 1500 levels. Maybe that's a psychological level which would be hard for Infi to break, but you never know. These are market, and these are all driven by sentiment. So going forward, I think Infi would be one of the nifty 50 companies in IT where I would be making and trying to understand. The next company is Indian Oil Corporation. So as you saw, we have already Hind Petro and ONGC, and the third is Indian Oil Corporation. So if you can see that it has been facing some resistance in these levels, but going forward, if 118 is taken out, and this is something which would then be interesting for me. Till then, I can see that it touches and it corrects, and it touches and it corrects. So maybe if we try to find a channel, that how much this correction would be there. Though I never buy in dips, in the sense it just depends on whether I want to have a momentum trade. From momentum trade perspective, it would be interesting to see how it breaks the 118 levels. So till then, I won't be looking into it, but as I said, today is Fed meet, and if something good turns up for the crude, actually I was reading some analysts report which came just half an hour ago. about the US oil statistics and the production cuts which were expected. So I feel like, crude may be one of the sectors which would be running tomorrow, and I won't be surprised because the move itself was very good and well defined. This is on an hourly chart, so if you look for a daily chart, you will see that, yesterday with the nifty weakness, there was a dip and there was a nice buying happened. Then day after tomorrow, day before yesterday, also the same thing happened, and today also it faced some resistance. So no matter what, I think there are people who are trying to make some positions, but you never know. If the sentiment breaks, then theoretically 113 would be a very shocker level, if it comes and doesn't reverse from there. But I would be very much in doubt that, and I think maybe going forward, this is going to give us a very good run. Also, from a target perspective, I would say 124, 122.5. It seems like a good target for IOC for now. And the next company which I would suggest that I had a look into is definitely mid-cap IT companies, LTI, LTTS. So those companies are something which you should always keep in tracker. And you can see this is something we did an analysis of how this 2800 level, which we were tracking since last few days. This was broken and this was confirmed, and now it's very near to 2913. And I think going forward, it would be interesting to see how this 2920 levels are broken, because then it will theoretically it should go towards 3000. But whether this will happen in the next 2 days or 3 days, I don't know. It just depends on the sentiment of the market, but definitely this is something which I would definitely be keeping in tracker. The reason I didn't discuss this explicitly in one of my companies which I discussed right now is, whenever such a resistance happen, it generally has a consolidation and then the dip comes. So I think maybe going forward is something like this. You will file this everywhere. So I think going forward, since it has given a quite a run from 2500 levels, so maybe people will try to book and it will try to move in a range. So no matter what, this is all the companies in the FNO, not the LTTS one, but all the previous ones which I discussed, which would be in my radar in the very short term, at least for tomorrow. I will start the market keeping these companies in my mind. And you can see that even Britannia, if you see, there is always a channel, and it has been you see, this is something which I think can be understood, is it has been long going for this sort of moves, and now it's trying to consolidate. But given the fact that for me it's more of an investment rather than trading, so I don't actually trade. So that's all. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope this was helpful, and maybe this will help you in knowing the stocks I am looking for. Of course, market is supreme, and today after market hours, any news flow and anything can hurt the sentiments. But for me, if everything remains the same, then going forward tomorrow in the morning at 9 o'clock, these 6 companies which I discussed, Tata Power, Hind Petro, Tata Consumer, Emphasis, Dabur, Hindustan Unilever, Infi, these would be the companies which would be in my radar. Thanks a lot for listening and have a nice evening. Yep, bye bye.